Neither WJOU or its licensee, Oakwood University, necessarily share all the views expressed in its programs. They are, however, presented as public information.
Good afternoon and welcome to Second Chance. Second Chance is a weekly talk show that examines a wide range of social issues and seeks to inspire physical, emotional, social, and spiritual healing, believing that God is a God of second chances, and through faith, all things are possible. Second Chance airs live each week from the beautiful campus of Oakwood University and features real people with real issues and offers real answers. And now, here's your host, Kenneth Anderson.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson. As always, delighted to be here in the studio. Praise 90.1 FM, my favorite radio station in all the world. Every Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on the broadcast Second Chance, the place that I've called home now for the last 33 years as a member of the WJOU staff, initially the WOCG staff. And of course, it's been my privilege and pleasure to be able to bring you information and inspiration for the time that I've been able to do it. I'm just happy to be here anytime I get a chance to be able to share positive things that are happening in and around our community, this region, the nation, and the world, because Lord knows we can absolutely use an infusion of positivity. And we're going to give you a load of it today because we're going to tell you about all kinds of great things that are happening in this community and beyond. And I promise you, folks, by the time the show gets over today, you will absolutely feel better, whatever you might be feeling right now. We're going to inspire you in some positive and productive ways. Now, I hope that you're listening perhaps this afternoon on the radio at 90.1 FM if you're within our local area. You, of course, are never far away from the Second Chance radio broadcast or Praise 90.1 FM if you're around the world, because you can tune in at WJOU.org on the net. And, of course, what we call our bonus cut, which is the live stream that takes place on our Facebook page, which is Praise 90.1 FM, as well as our YouTube page, which is Praise 90.1 FM. So you're never far from this beautiful station that has done something wonderful for so many years. And of course, if you've been listening to the broadcast since the first of the year, every single broadcast in 2023 is being donated and reflected and given in honor of the legacy and life of my mother-in-law, Ernestine Fletcher Tibbs, who passed on December the 11th. Although my wife and I are still dealing with the transition of that tremendous loss, we are encouraged and inspired, not just by the love of friends and family who have surrounded us during this time of transition, but from a big announcement that I'm going to make here very soon about a new scholarship that I'm about to establish in her name. And I'm just so excited about being able to do that because if you know me, you know I'm all about students and I'm all about scholarships. And I'm all about that next generation of people who are coming behind us. And that, of course, is a great segue into our broadcast today, because I've got some people on the line at this time who have joined me for a very, very special conversation about a cause that I am absolutely down with whenever somebody tells me about this particular cause, because it makes a big and profound difference in all of our lives. This afternoon, joining me for a broadcast that will be like none other over at least the next few weeks is a group of individuals who are supporting a very special initiative at the Oakwood University campus. And of course, that's one of my alma maters. Very proud to always represent Oakwood University wherever I go. And I think that this is just a very fitting time to be able to do that. Jacqui Shipe is with me this afternoon. Jacqui, of course, and if you don't know Jacqui, shame on you. You need to know who Jacqui is. She's the Chief Executive Officer, of Global Ties Alabama, which is a nonprofit organization making a big difference in our community here and around the nation and around the world. She's a friend of this broadcast, and I know a regular listener because she tells me often that she's tuned into the broadcast, and she's also the 2023 chair of the first annual Gold and Blue Gala, Scholarship Gala. Jacqui, welcome to the broadcast. Are you on mute?
Kenny, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Hey, well, thank you so much. And I'm honored to be here today. This is probably the favorite subject in my life is Oakwood University and what brought me to Huntsville, Alabama, almost 2 decades ago. So I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, you and I are the same. And of course, we have deep roots because we go all the way back to Northeastern.
Yes, sir.
We won't get into that conversation today because it always stirs emotions. Dr. Les Pollard, my classmate, a little bit before me, but definitely spent some time right here at these hallowed grounds while you were here. And so glad to see you as always. Dr. Pollard is the president of the illustrious Oakwood University and also the chief executive officer. Dr. Pollard, how are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing well, Kenny. Thank you so much, classmate. And thank you for what you've been doing. I mean, you have been a volunteer at WOCG, WJOU for 30 plus years now. I mean, thank you so much. It's that kind of commitment that we built the institution on. So thank you.
Yeah, it's my honor and my privilege to be here doing this too. And I just enjoy it. You know, people keep saying, how long are you going to keep doing it? I'm going to keep doing it as long as I enjoy getting up and coming to the station and doing the broadcast. And I haven't lost that fire yet. So I'm excited about this privilege and opportunity that I've been granted. Sabrina DeSouza, Vice President for Business Development, Finance, and University Advancement, and a certified public accountant. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much, Kenny. It's a pleasure to be on your broadcast. Finally, I've listened with great interest, and I've been waiting for my opportunity to join you. It only took a moment to talk about students and Oakwood's commitment to building scholarship endowments, but I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much. And thank you, as Dr. Pollard said, for more than 30, almost 31 years, 31 years
30,
at
33.
WJOU. 33.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Even a few more. Well, you know, I'm too young to remember all that.
It's all good. Somebody's had to hold it down, and I'm honored to be able to do it and honored to have you here today. My friend Mirriam Battles is here with me today. Of course, Mirriam and my paths cross occasionally for a variety of reasons. She's in the development space and, of course, being out there in the community talking about a lot of positive things. She's an administrative assistant to the president's office here at Oakwood University and, of course, a stellar servant in this leadership space that we often talk about when we talk about leading by being a shining example. Mirriam, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Kenny. And you know, I did serve as the administrative assistant to the president about 6 or 7 years ago. Currently, I am the director of major gifts and planned giving and working very closely with the Gold and Blue Gala, which I'm excited about.
That's exciting. Now, you know, we're going to have to talk about that bio you sent me now. I need to, you know, make sure that the bio includes all the important and critical information that I need, but I'm glad to hear about that, and that's absolutely amazing. Jacqui, tell me about this scholarship gala, because this is something new to the Oakwood University and Huntsville community, and it takes place during that same period of time that we remember the UNCF banquet taking place for so many years.
Absolutely. And certainly lots of changes have taken place, but the root focus has not changed. Raising funds for scholarship for Oakwood University students, and the commitment that we have to the United Negro College Fund continues. We're just changing the order of how we raise those dollars. And so Alumni Weekend is when this gala will take place, and the gala will be the kickoff activity, followed by the UNCF fundraising golf tournament the next day. So the monies that are raised during the gala will stay at Oakwood University. And I just need to add this. I want you to know that when I worked in corporate America, and I would sit with supervisors to go over the evaluations of our employees at the call center that is now Verizon, I noticed that all of the outstanding evaluations belonged to employees who had something in common. They were Oakwood graduates. And I said, what ground do they walk on? And that was one of the reasons that I had to come and see for myself. And so I'm so excited to be part of this effort. I'm honored that the president has asked for me to serve in this chair role, because Oakwood University has had impact, not just in Huntsville, Alabama, not just in Alabama, not just in the United States, but globally. And we want to continue that tradition. And the only way to do that is to raise funds so that more students can enjoy and benefit from the wonderful education that they get here at Oakwood University.
Yeah, Oakwood is indeed an international institution. President Pollard, as you listen to Jacqui share her thoughts and reflections on her role as chair, as well as her reflections on the strength of these kinds of initiatives and the impact that they have on students, of course, we know one of your major responsibilities as president is being chief fundraiser and making sure that people hear about Oakwood and know about Oakwood and building relationships to support that. What does an initiative like this mean to you as the president of the institution and the potential that it has to attract dollars to students?
Well, the first thing it does, Ken, is that it reminds me that there are hundreds, if not thousands of people who are looking ways to pay it forward, who are looking for ways to pay it forward and want to be a part of something positive. At the introduction of your show, you mentioned the need for positivity, and you're trying to fill that space in with Second Chance Radio. Well, that's true in terms of what we do here at Oakwood too. We try to provide the kinds of first and second and third and fourth chances that some people need in order to make a life that has impact. You know, it's one thing to live, but it's another thing to make a life. And that's a part of what we're doing with the Gold and Blue Scholarship Program. By raising these funds, we're able to assist those students, whether they are traditional students or even adult learners who want to complete what they've started. We're able to help them and to say, you are not in this.
I think that Dr. Pollard's feed has frozen. So let me bring Sabrina in.
They belong to a community. Okay. It helps the students to know that they belong to a community that's going to impart strength to them. Ken, one thing, I know you've got multiple guests here and we want to hear all of them, but one of the things that I really enjoy doing in my travels, and I've traveled to more than 60 different countries, so when I get to a country, one of the things I do whenever I'm invited to dinner, and after we've eaten, I ask the people to share with me some of the proverbs that distill the wisdom of your community into just a few words. And I've gotten some wonderful proverbs from around the world from different people. Some of them are humorous, some of them are painful, some of them are insightful. But here is one from the Banda people on the continent. They say, sticks in a bundle are unbreakable. Sticks in a bundle are unbreakable. And that's what we are doing. We are forming unbreakable bonds by uniting our efforts. We are stronger together than we could ever be separately. And like those sticks in the bundle, we believe too that Oakwood is unbreakable because we are able to help students achieve their dreams.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Sabrina, of course, you work in the space that I'm going to describe as where the rubber meets the road. I mean, there's a bottom line here. I mean, in order to run an academic institution, students have to pay tuition. And so in many ways, you're tuition driven, and it's important for students to be able to get financial support for their dreams and efforts and things of that nature. And you have to see this opportunity and others that may evolve in the space of being an advancement in finance and things like that the value of why this is so important. And people that are listening this afternoon that are perhaps exploring ways of getting more connected and more engaged and more involved with the financial success journey of young people, what would you say to them in the role that you play about the importance of taking a close look at investing in this kind of an activity?
Well, Kenny, that's a great question. One of the things, as I look around, even the individuals on this broadcast, I bet you each one of them has their education journey story. And that story, most likely, given the connections that we've had, given the situations that most of us have come through, which are common in nature, I bet that story has somebody in their background who donated money to help them, who had a grandparent who sacrificed her mortgage and her grocery bill to help them, who had parents who sacrificed everything. And so when you think about the value of education, you can just look across this room. One of the things that we're doing at the banquet is we're having student testimonials throughout the banquet about what education is doing for them. But we're also going to have an alumni testimony from one of our alumnus who is not only a big fundraiser for the institution, but has gone on to become a chief executive at a hospital. But that story, that Oakwood story, as we like to say, my Oakwood story, that story gets told over and over again about how someone, some individual, some foundation, their parents, their friends, their relatives worked together to deliver a financial package that enabled them to make Adventist education at Oakwood University in a historically Black setting possible, and that very education is responsible for their success today. So you're going to hear lots of stories like that, but I have my Oakwood story, my Oakwood Academy story, and it talks about the many different ways. Of course, there's federal aid, but federal aid does not often close the gap. State aid does not often close the gap. So students can get that experience that Jacqui talked about that makes them the top-notch performers at companies like Verizon. We have multiple programs. We're top in our field for delivering students to medical schools. That's something we excel at. We excel at certifications. We excel at ministry. We excel in multiple science fields. We're so excited about the wonderful things happening in our nursing program. So just to avail that opportunity to our students in a setting with proven success rates, and donations mean so much for each individual student. I often see those commercials. If you send $35 a month, you can feed somebody you can feed a family of 4. Well, I like to say at Oakwood, your ticket for one individual table is $150, and that $150 goes into a scholarship. I mean, your ticket for one individual seat, not a table. Sorry about that. That $150 goes into our endowment, and which means we will continue to invest that endowment and use the interest and gains and losses on that, or gains on that, to help students, not for one meal, not for a month, but to help students in perpetuity. So this scholarship gala is very important. I'll let Mirriam talk about our sponsorship levels, but every dollar goes into a scholarship endowment that will help students in perpetuity.
Yeah, actually, I'll thank you for that. I want to actually talk to Mirriam about something else that you referenced. And I think this is extremely important because this is part of my testimony as well. For years, I was just in awe of the notion that people endowed scholarships. I mean, I was literally in awe. I thought that was just an amazing thing. And I looked at that as something that, wow, what a tremendous thing. And how much money does that take to do that? And I'm hoping that Mirriam will demystify that whole process, because it was certainly demystified for me by simply going to the development office and asking the question, what does it take to endow a scholarship? And when they told me $25,000, my eyes didn't roll up in the back of my head. I simply said, well, listen, I can make an initial contribution as seed money, and then I can go out and raise $25,000. I mean, I have some skills and abilities and opportunities, so let me go ahead and do that. And I know a lot of people, and I can have some different events and that kind of thing. And I was able to do that for my first scholarship at Calhoun, and then I came back and did the same thing for my Oakwood scholarship. But talk to people a little bit about how simple this thing really is when we talk about planned giving, trust, that there are things that they might not even be thinking about that can actually leverage their ability to be supportive of Oakwood through things like wills and trust and things of that nature. I think people really need to appreciate how this experience really can be lived outside the box of just writing a check. You know, there are ways that people can go about doing that. Mirriam, can you talk a little bit about that landscape?
Well, I'd be glad to talk about that, Kenny. It's a wonderful thing that donors can do for us here with the educational experience that Oakwood provides for students. I just want to say a little bit about the product that we produce here at Oakwood. The student, my son was a student here at Oakwood, and when he graduated, he went on a job, and the people asked him, "Where did you go to school?" And they said, it's something is different about you. You know how to do everything everybody else knows how to do, but there's something different about you. Where did you go to school? So he told them about Oakwood. And in his sharing with me, he said, "Mom, that is something, I got a loan to go to Oakwood. I got some scholarships, but I'm never sorry about that loan. It was worth it because it makes me stand out." So I'm just saying, the product is worth investing in. Students do well, they represent us well. So we like to encourage donors to get involved. Attend the scholarship gala that we're going to have. It will change the life for students. Now, you're right, there are many different ways that donors can participate. In this particular gala, we're asking them to sponsor a table or sponsor a ticket. So we have several different sponsorship levels that I'd like to talk about first. We have a platinum sponsorship, which is $25,000. You get a full page ad, 4 tables, 4 prime tables at the gala. You'll get acknowledged from the platform and a bunch of other things listed in the Oakwood magazine. There's also a gold sponsorship level for only $15,000. So we're asking any corporation that'd like to participate in that, they can get involved with that, and we'll provide you with the link for that. There's a silver sponsorship level for $5,000, a bronze for $2,500, and a blue for $1,500. So you see, there's a level for everyone. Anyone can get involved, have a sponsorship, have a table, come to the gala. You will enjoy our featured speaker, who is going to be Brenda Wood, and we have entertainment with Brandy Sutton.
And tell us who Brenda Wood is too, because a lot of people listening may not know who she is.
May not know her. Brenda Wood is a former TV news anchor person. She started here in Huntsville. She went to Memphis, Tennessee, and then she ended in Atlanta, Georgia. And she's a very well-known Emmy award-winning.
Yeah, I was gonna say award-winning
Emmy
journalist. Yeah.
Yes. She's captivating, very interesting, and she'll be a great keynote speaker. You won't want to miss out on that. And then our entertainer is Brandy Inez Sutton, a musical guest. She's at the Metropolitan Opera, but she has different genres that she can perform. It's going to be very engaging and very well worth it. And it's all to benefit our students.
And she graduated from where?
Pardon me?
She graduated from where?
Oakwood University. Indeed, she did.
Yeah, we never want to bury that headline. That's what we're talking about right now. How, it's impossible to suppress the sunshine of an Oakwood graduate wherever they go, because the sun literally does shine in terms of their ability to promote the value of that Oakwood education. And I put that Oakwood education up against any education on this planet, Dr. Pollard. I say that every person's first choice should be Oakwood University. Even if you don't end up coming to Oakwood, you need to check Oakwood out, because there are other benefits that come from the Oakwood education. And other schools can say certain kinds of things and tout certain things, but those of us who know. Those who've had the experience know how special this is. Isn't that right, Dr. Pollard?
It is indeed. It is, Kenny. It's remarkable. Most recently, we attended the Charleston Literary Festival, and I took a group of students along with their faculty members from English and foreign languages. And our students I wish I could send you some of the comments from the how do they say it, the hoi polloi, from the high cotton of the Charleston. This is a quintessential Southern town, right? But and they were all there, and our students were there as a group attending the Charleston Literary Festival. We had the opportunity, of course, to go to the festival, but also to a special luncheon that was being held for the special guest author. And what struck me were the notes that I received after we left. Our students, they were so poised, they were so intelligent, the way they could ask questions. And it was just a remarkable testament to the unique product, as Mrs. Battle said, the unique product that Oakwood actually produces. And so, yes, I think Oakwood is a phenomenal education. I tell people all the time that I have earned, by the grace of God, and I'm grateful for, but I've earned 4 graduate degrees, and every one of them rests upon the foundation that was provided by Oakwood University. Every single one, including the confidence. May I just tell you a story about the Oakwood education, Ken? If we got a minute,
Wait,
if we got
yeah,
a second?
no. We got a few more minutes, so just go right ahead.
Okay, so I came to Oakwood as a freshman student. I had been in the public school system all my life. I was in my first 6 years I spent in one of our small segregated schools. Boy, and we could talk about what the community looked like before, integration hit it. I mean, my doctor lived across the street. My 3rd grade teacher lived down the street. The other one was around the corner. I saw these people in the market. So excellence was just a wonderful part of the neighborhood. Then I was a part of the busing experiments when I got to 6th grade. So I was sent across town to schools that did not want us. But of course, in the name of very worthy goal, Dr. King marched and died for us to be able to go and come and go freely as we pleased. But we were part of those busing experiments. And so from 6 to 12, I was in these schools and they really didn't want us there. Then I came to Oakwood at 18 and I had an assignment. Dr. Francis Davis Muzan. I took English 101, English 111, English 101, English composition. I've forgotten what they called it back then. But her name was Davis, Dr. Francis Davis. And she gave us an assignment, and I wasn't really interested. I was interested in basketball and all that kind of stuff. People wouldn't believe that now, but I was interested in basketball and all those things. So I like to say when I tell the story, I threw some slop on a piece of paper and handed it to her one morning. And this is no joke now. This is no joke. She looked at that piece of paper and she looked me in the eye. This little lady, I was much taller than she was. Yeah, I'm 6'2". She must have been 5'7", 5'8". She looked up at me and she said, "Leslie, you're a smart young man. You can do better than this." Now, why was that important? Because the last time I had heard that I was a smart young man, well, when I was in that little Negro elementary school in 6th grade from one of those teachers who lived around the corner from me. And I had forgotten all of that in the rest of the educational process. Fast forward to when I'm doing my PhD. I'm sitting in this classroom and I'm doing my PhD in New Testament, and you've got to master 5 to 6 languages. French, German, Greek, Hebrew, Akkadian, some other biblical languages. And I was on German. And that thing was so difficult because I hadn't lived in Europe. I hadn't studied German. I'm studying right next to all of these students who lived in countries bordering Germany. So they speak English, they speak French, they speak German. They're just fulfilling an obligation. And I'm sitting there looking at those German compounds, some of them having 26 letters. And I was so discouraged. And I said, I don't know, maybe this PhD thing is not for me. And I heard Dr. Davis' voice. She said, "Leslie, you're a smart young man." And it got me, I think I got a B+ in my German courses. Okay. But again, it's the HBCU effect too. The belief that we instill in students that you can do and be anything. But that thing came back to me after all those years. Say, "Leslie, you're a smart young." I said, "I can't let she had passed away at that point. Said, "I can't let Dr. Davis down." and I passed through. I rallied myself and stopped crying in my soup. Stop making excuses because I'm not from Europe and I didn't live in Austria and And then finally, the Lord blessed me, and I said, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah,
and the rest it's history, as they say. The rest is history.
Yeah, that's right. Listen, I took Dr. Davis also for freshman comp when I was at
Oakwood.
I did. And so, I mean, she was the real deal in terms of. Yeah, I mean, she had a way about her that a lot of the old school educators had about them. Even if you came into the class giving less than your best, right, that you felt challenged to do more just because that's what they expected from you.
They expected that.
And they consistently raised that bar. I mean, I'm just thinking about all of the greats who were back in the day, who inspired people like you and I and others to become everything that we could possibly be in life. And that is absolutely amazing. Listen, I know some of you probably have to jump off the call, but if anybody can stay, feel free to stay. I'm going to give you just a few more minutes because this is a great conversation. And there are a couple of more things I've got to ask. One of the things that I've got to ask Jacqui is that this is a formal event, right? That means I can come in a tux. Is that right?
Kenny, I'm looking at you right now, and you look like you're dressed. That is not an issue for Kenny Anderson. Yes, it's an after 5 event, and so it might not be black tie, but it's definitely, we want everybody to consider being a fashion statement that evening. And we're just so excited about the combination of potential sponsors, as well as the program, the involvement of our young people, as Sabrina has indicated. And I love the fact that Dr. Pollard highlighted when the students went to South Carolina, because one of the things that Oakwood does an excellent job is the strategic partnerships that it has. Mm-hmm. So it's not just the learning that takes place in the classroom, but the partnerships where the students have internships, they participate in competitions, and it gives them a chance to show the best that they have to offer and the impact that they can have. I have to give a shout out to one of my interns who was from the social work department, and she wanted to work for Global Ties Alabama, had not taken a foreign language, really didn't travel extensively, and she was just inspired by the work that we do. She got her graduate degree in social work. She says, I'm going to work for a embassy somewhere in the world. Her first job out of graduate school and her internship was with the U.S. Embassy in the United Kingdom. She started in D.C. She's now in England, and she's an outstanding representative, not only of Oakwood University, but of our country. And so it's just an example. I know that there are many more, but I'm so appreciative of the strategic partnerships that add value, not only to the education, but the investment that our donors will be making when they serve as sponsors for this event.
Sabrina, I want to keep it real for just a moment, and not that we haven't up to now, but there really is another side to this conversation, and I want to just talk about that for just a moment, not to bring the weight down and bring the temperature down in the room, because I'm very inspired by everything I've heard so far. But I want to talk for just a moment about what I would define as the trauma of clearing. Students who get to the point of graduation and they have difficulty clearing. I mean, we hear that all the time. It happens at all schools where students just are not positioned in order to be able to do that. And I can only imagine that these kinds of strategic initiatives are designed in some way to establish successful journeys for all students. That as we see the responsibilities that students bear, I have a receipt from my freshman year at Oakwood where the tuition for that semester was $700 a quarter. And when I see, I've got the proof. I've got it.
Right,
And when I say that and I think about what's happening now, I think about Jacqui and Annie Anderson raising 4 kids on the Lower East Side of Manhattan on the second floor of a 16-story apartment building in public housing. And I wonder how they would have been able to do that today, except that $700 a quarter back then was like whatever that cost is today for them, because they just didn't have it. And I think about these initiatives, Sabrina, as just ways that we can think outside our abilities to move towards supporting and helping students in tangible ways wherever we are. So don't tune us out because you're thinking I'm only making this amount of money, I only have these resources. We really should be thinking about the students that this benefits and how many more can be benefited if more of us come to the table. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And our job is ensuring that Oakwood is affordable and is within reach. That experience that Jacqui and the president, myself and Mirriam have talked about, those results, that they're within the reach of any individual who desires to attain success, both here on this earth, and of course, our goal is in the life to come. And so one of the things that Oakwood has done to keep tuition affordable is, of course, we try to be not only competitive with all the other SDA schools, which we are the lowest in tuition, and we try to maintain that because given our demographic, as you mentioned, Kenny, most of our parents and our families are making less than $50,000 a year. But still, even within that, our tuition and fees, it really takes a village. And part of that village, of course, is the federal government. Over almost 56% of our students receive Pell Grant. So that tells you the group that is really trying to attain this experience and what the outcomes will be. And so to that end, we have to work along with the federal government. We have state grants. We have foundation grants, multiple grants to help our students make this affordable. The SDA Church, our regional conferences, our NAD, they're all instrumental in making sure that Oakwood's affordable. And then that last little niche that we need, Dr. Pollard, we have 2 other things that we're working with. We are working with restoring our businesses, so to ensure that our students have places to work to help make education affordable. We have a CARES program that if the students opt into the CARES program, freshmen, sophomores, juniors can all participate, and next year it will include seniors as well. But that program allows the student to put $18 per hour that they work onto their tuition if they choose to participate. So we're excited about that. And without donors, those kinds of programs are not available. Without donors and foundations, our students really couldn't make that last piece of the puzzle. There's their family piece, there's the federal government piece, there's the church piece, there's the donor piece. And that is how our students attain success. And that's how we ensure Oakwood is affordable for every student.
Yeah, I love that notion of academic excellence being about the village coming together to undergird the students who are on that academic pathway to success. Mirriam, as Sabrina's talking, I'm thinking about, we live in the largest city in the state of Alabama. We live in the #1 city to live in the nation, according to U.S. News and World Report last year. So we see all of these businesses coming to town. I understand there are about 500 new people coming to Huntsville every month. We see huge investments in business and growth. Mazda Toyota, 5,000 jobs. FBI first was going to bring 100 agents here or 100 employees here. Now they're going to bring 5,000 over the next few years. And we see all this tremendous, Meta's going to build 1 data center. Now they're building 7 data centers. So you see all of these really exciting and explosive things happening. Talk to me a little bit about your vision for the business community here, how you connect the dots, and how this is also an opportunity for some of them to step up even more than they have stepped up in the past, or perhaps engage now that they know about this opportunity.
You are so right, Kenny. There are so many businesses that have come to town and so many possibilities that are existing out there. And we are approaching many of them for this particular endeavor. As a matter of fact, our chair is the person that is in charge of, for this particular event, is in charge of contacting those corporate donors. And and doing so with a lot of success. So we're excited about that. We're looking at bringing some new ones on board. We've had a lot that were participating previously with our gala. So we're going back to them and we're engaging with new ones as you speak. So it's going to be a great opportunity. We are looking forward to establishing more relationships and deepening our relationships with the corporate donors as well.
Kenny, can I give you an example? About a year and a half ago, I got a call from one of my business board members. And he said, Jacqui, I'm coming over. Are you in the office? And I said, yes. And he came over. He handed me an envelope. And it was a $10,000 check. It didn't have who it would be paid to. He said, I want you to make the decision about this check. I know we have universities in the area. And for me, there's only one university that I'm going to give any money to, and that's Oakwood University. But we continued our conversation, and we decided that that $10,000 would be earmarked for the students who were having challenges graduating because they couldn't clear. It is a village, and it's a village of our business community, our education community, our nonprofit community, our faith community. And I am so excited about the prospects that will come out of this gala, the conversations that we're having, and the continued growth of funding and scholarships for Oakwood University students.
Yeah, Jacqui, stay there for just a minute, because as an event planner and fundraiser myself on a number of different projects, we know that the landscape is crowded. And I tell people all the time, because I talk to a lot of people that come to me and say, I want to start this particular thing, or I'm working on this particular project. They'll even come to me and say, I'm chairing such and such. What are your ideas? And I don't give them a bill. I just sit down with them and try to provide some wisdom for them. And one of the things I say to them is that you need to, first of all, understand that everybody's asking all the time. And so what I want to ask you is this: how do you navigate, and I know you've been in the development field for some time, how do you navigate? Can you hear me, Jacqui?
You're breaking up. Good. Back.
Okay. Yeah. How do you navigate the choppy waters of fundraising, especially in challenging times like these? You know, we're still coming out of the pandemic as we first experienced it. And, you know, we're still dealing with the fact that people are prioritizing their giving. And we're dealing with the idea that a lot of companies have bought their giving internally. So, you know, they'll give their employees specific ideas about what they want to donate to. How are you navigating that? What's your strategy for navigating those territories?
So I think, again, relationships are incredibly important. We know that we have an exceptional product in terms of our students, but we must establish and continue to cultivate the relationships with our community, whether it's the business community. And remember, the community is changing. So some of the donors that were top donors when I was in advancement, there are new faces. There are new generations of giving, but the product continues to be the same, exceptional. And we just have to get out there, and we need to get out into the environment where we can have the one-on-one discussions. We have a community foundation that brings together the donors and helping to focus where their dollars should be. And that's how I had a chance to speak with Meta just 2 weeks ago. I knew that they were in the area, but it's one thing to know they're in the area. It's another to have a personal conversation. And what comes out of me? Oakwood University. And so being in those environments, and I know that Mirriam and Sabrina and the advancement team do a great job in profiling Oakwood in those environments. Certainly Second Chance does the same. So all of our communication tools have to be saying the same thing and address those diverse communities and audiences.
I'd like to add something, may I, Kenny?
Okay, go ahead.
As part of the gala, we will have the Aeolians singing there at the gala. And that's one of our keenest, largest, greatest ambassadors are the Aeolians. And as a matter of fact, they sang recently in town at the library. And after they sang there, one of the attendees called in and gave a donation. And so the community recognizes, they've always recognized the Aeolians, they adopt them, but that's another one of our products, and it's another key or another segue into talking with people and connecting with them, because everyone knows and loves the Aeolians. So.
Yeah, I mean, what a huge sell. Just say the Aeolians are going to show up, and shame on you if you don't show up as a consequence of that, wherever they might be doing, whatever they do so well and magnificently. Dr. Pollard, education is still the great equalizer. I know you will agree with that with me. This notion that if we can expose enough young people, and this is Black History Month, so let's put it out there like this. This is Black History Month. And one of the things I'm always talking to our students about is the value of reading, the value of writing, the value of education, and making that a foundation for yourself, that when you do that well, no one can take that from you and no one can deny you going forward. Your thoughts about education continuing to be the great equalizer?
Yes, I think in honor of the fact that this is Black History Month, I think your statements are spot on. And our ancestors understood that while they were denied capital and material and property, etc., during the period of enslavement, it's only an act of supernatural genius that they could somehow see that education is that alternative capital, that capital that will lift families and individuals and communities. And so just on last Thursday, I had a fun time with the USM officers. We did the civil rights tour, and I have an opportunity. See, they're my captive audience. Then I buy all the food, so they gotta listen to the old guy, right? I buy the food, I take them to the Cheesecake Factory, but in exchange for that, they gotta sit in the circle and they gotta listen to me. And I talked to them about education. I said, we just left. We went to the Equal Justice Initiative Museum and had a wonderful tour. And as we left, they were all very sober. And I remember saying to them, they were asking, Dr. Pollard, when are we going to have another day off? I said, okay. I said, okay, so here we are. It was good natured. I said, the people we just left died to go to school. I said, now here you are, you're dying not to go to school. And so we all laughed about that. We laughed about that. But again, and it gave me an opportunity to talk to them about the necessity of excellence in education and remembering that this thing that we could take for granted, people died so that we could learn to read. I mean, the narrative of Frederick Douglass, I mean, it's just, it opens arenas and worlds and all of those things to it. One of my dreams is to own a mobile book library that we take around, just like we do with our mobile food market, but to have a mobile library that we can move around in the city with our works on it, with our works, right, in our communities. So, and if there's a donor listening, that would be a great gift for the Gold and Blue campaign. That certainly would be. So I think, Ken, you've hit the nail on the head. As we think about the future, I remember Dr. Calvin Rock, when I was a student here, we were standing in Blake Center, a group of theology students. We were just talking and laughing. And I don't know why he stopped. He didn't say much, but he stopped and he heard us laughing, and affable gentleman that he was, he shook our hands, teased us a little bit. And then he said this when he walked off. He said, gentlemen, he said, remember, the future belongs to the prepared mind. Another takeaway from my journey at Oakwood. I never, ever forgot that. When people say, Les, how did you do so much education? I remembered Elder Rock's statement to us in Blake, the future belongs to a prepared mind. Wow. And once your mind is prepared that way, no one can take that away from you. That will always be with you, and it will transform your life and the lives of others as you matriculate through life.
Yeah, I think it is the most empowering thing that we can have across the spectrum of our lives. And Of course, we are people of faith. So as we talk about
Amen.
our investment in the word and how that anchors our lives, when we talk about our investment in our history, it connects us to our culture and our legacy. I mean, in all kind of ways that empower us in very valuable, important ways. And I think that's so important to emphasize and stress. Sabrina, what is the future as we have this conversation? We are wrapping it up. Listen, I got to find a way to get y'all back on the show. That's what's happening here. We haven't had a chance to talk in fellowship for a while, but if I break it up, then we won't have this long gathering the next time. But this has really been rich and really been good. And I think that people listening are enjoying it. Sabrina, as you have heard what we've been talking about and the ways that you have contributed to this conversation, if someone were to say to you, what do you think the future of Oakwood represents? What would you say?
I think the future of Oakwood represents what we call academic excellence in education for the next 100 years. I mean, if we talk about the wonderful things that are happening in academics across Oakwood and what that means for students, education is still the gateway to success for people of color and for many others, but certainly for Oakwood has a rich history. It's a historically Black university, and we've served the Black and brown people for a number of years, and we will continue to serve for the next 100 years. But I think some of the great things that are coming up for Oakwood and for education, I mentioned how we are excelling in the science programs. Business is our top-notch program. We graduate CPAs and financiers. You talked about partnerships, and we were talking about that earlier. Our goal is that every student leaves here with either an internship or a shadowing opportunity in their field. And so for our graduating class of 2025, it's our goal that every student would have had an internship if they're in that graduating class. We start them out here again doing an on-campus micro internship. So we no longer have that old-fashioned work-study program. Kenny, you probably remember this, where you go around campus. Do you have a job? Do you have a job? No, as part of our micro internship program, when you first come to campus, you let us know what your major is, of course, if you're undecided. You also take a series of tests, helping us identify your interests and your strong points, and then we assign you a job. So if your interest and your major is trending towards pre-med, then you're assigned to be a lab coordinator in your freshman year. You work in the lab, in one of the labs with Dr. Vanterpool's teams. Same thing with ministry. A number of our students are assigned at Oakwood University Church. So we no longer just set you on a path. We give you a path that's three-pronged. It involves academic excellence. It also involves preparing for gainful employment through internships and shadowing opportunities that we basically guarantee every student who attends Oakwood. All they have to do is accept the opportunity. And the last part that we try to work with you, these are paid micro internships. So we're trying to help you not only rely on the village, but rely on yourself so that you can become gainfully employed and a contributing member of society, not for you, your children, and your great-grandchildren. That's our 100-year impact. So that's where we're going, Kenny. That's our future.
Wow, I absolutely love that. And I think that any academic institution of higher education that neglects the opportunity to cultivate internships for students are missing a tremendous opportunity to create a bridge between what happens in the academic arena and what happens on the other side of that graduation stage. You know, we want every student that comes into our midst to walk out with a diploma or certificate. That's what we want. And anything less is unacceptable. We want that. And so our desire to have that should be matched with our ability to give them those real world experiences and match them based on their skills and ambitions. Mirriam, briefly, this gold and blue event, blue and gold event transcends, a gold and blue event, I'm sorry, transcends the Oakwood planned giving experience. That means it's going to happen, and you're still going to have opportunities that you're going to want people to take advantage of where they're investing in an institution. How would they reach out to you, and how would they get more information about those opportunities?
Oh, thank you so much for asking that question, Kenny. We'd be delighted to talk with any donor who'd like to participate by either setting up a trust or including Oakwood in a will or anything of that nature. There are a variety of ways they can get involved for future giving. That will be giving from your assets for the future for students. And that is a great, great way to do so. So they can call me at, I can give my number now if you'd like.
Yes, please.
256-726-7508. I'll repeat that. 256-726-7508. I'd be delighted to talk with anyone who'd like to consider a planned gift. It's a great way to solidify a future for a student. And I'd like to add one last thing too. Kenny, Sabrina was talking about some of our graduates. Well, we have another little niche. We had 7 music majors to be awarded, to be recognized as nominees for a Grammy Award. As Dr. Pollard said, what HBCU has 7 alums to be nominated for a Grammy?
Yeah.
Standing accomplishment, I think.
Yeah, listen, that's huge. And I know I posted that every one of them were winners just to be nominated, because when you think about the breadth of people out there in the industry.
I saw your post.
Yeah, and they have just that many and you're included in that?
Yeah.
Congratulations and kudos to those 7 individuals who are shining stars from this institution. Dr. Pollard.
By the way, Ken, we're preparing an article with each of their names and pictures and ask the question, what do these 7 people have in common? And what they have in common is Oakwood University and its music program.
I absolutely love it. Dr. Pollard, if we give you 60 seconds to say anything else that you'd like to say.
Well, first of all, I want to thank each of my colleagues for the incredible work that each of them is doing in the Gold and Blue campaign. This is very challenging work in today's philanthropic environment. So I want to stop and just thank each one. I want to thank Sabrina for her leadership of this area. I added it to her portfolio and I have never regretted it a day. She's provided the kind of structure and focus it needs to make sure that we're successful. And she understands the power of goals. So, and that's really what we need, right, in the leadership of the area of philanthropy and advancement. And then for each of them, I could pay individual compliments to them. Jacqui has a long history of outstanding excellence, and especially her intercultural communication and competency is not only benefiting Oakwood, it's benefiting the entire city of Huntsville.
That's right.
And then Mirriam, when Mirriam was my administrative assistant, after about a couple of years, I said, I see in you a gift for philanthropy, because she was bringing me donors, and I said, we need to get you into philanthropy. And she has done an outstanding job. So each of these, my colleagues, I commend them and I honor them and I build them up for the work that they are doing. And Oakwood is the better because of the work that they do, Ken. And thank you for your contributions for more than 30 some years, 33 years.
Don't cheat me now.
You sound like the nurses. You know, one day I did the announcements how the nurses have turned around the nursing program from a 50% pass rate to a 91% pass rate. They said, don't forget the 0.7. Don't forget 91.7%.
Yeah, listen, we're working hard for those things. So absolutely.
Thank you. I'm honored to be on your show too, Ken. I think this is my first time. Maybe when I first became president, I think this is my first time. Thank you.
I think so too. I'm trying to think that through as well, but we'll rectify that. We'll fix that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I used to, when the pandemic was on, I really enjoyed seeing the updates that you were doing and providing.
Inside Oakwood.
The Inside Oakwood piece. Yeah. So I've been following you for sure.
Thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Jacqui, you got 30 seconds to wrap this whole thing up.
Kenny, I want to thank you for the open door policy that you have, not only on behalf of Oakwood University, but certainly in your diversity, equity, and inclusion role with the city of Huntsville. It inspires so many, not only locally, nationally, but globally as well. And so we thank you for the opportunity to encourage supporters, sponsors, donors for the Oakwood University Gold and Blue Scholarship Gala scheduled for April 6th. Everyone can participate, whether it's in person or connecting to the sponsorship link that will be provided by your show as well. We're so thankful to represent an outstanding product, and the producer. We give all credit, of course, to Oakwood University and to our Heavenly Father. So we're thankful for this opportunity this evening.
Folks, thank you so much. This has been just an awesome conversation this afternoon. Jacqui Shipe, Dr. Les Pollard, Sabrina DeSouza, Mirriam Battles. Don't wait another 33 years to come back on my show.
Be glad to.
Have a great rest of the day. Best wishes on the gala. I look forward to seeing some of you there at that time, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right. Have a fantastic day. Folks, I tell you, we got this thing started off on the right track this afternoon, and I'm so glad that we were able to do that. I'm glad that we were able to have some conversation about the big Gold and Blue Gala, Scholarship Gala, coming up at the Oakwood University on Thursday, April the 6th, 2023. 6 p.m., doors open, 6:30, the gala dinner and program start. It takes place at the Von Braun Center's North Hall that has been under renovation now for a sustained period of time. So this is going to be one of the first events that takes place in the newly renovated North Hall at the Von Braun Center, and we look forward to seeing you there. I'm going to come back in just a moment to introduce you to another group of individuals who are conducting an amazing project that you're going to hear all of. And we're going to do that in just a moment, right after this. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance, and I hope that you're having a great day.
Praise 90.1 FM. The station for inspiration is Praise 90.1 FM.
There's the wonder of sunset at evening, the wonder of sunrise I see, but the wonder of wonders that thrills my soul is the wonder that God loves me. Oh, the wonder of it all, the wonder of it all, just to think how much God really loves me. Oh, the wonder of it all, the wonder of it all, just to think how much God really loves you. There's the wonder of springtime and harvest, the sky, the stars, the sun, but the wonder of wonders that thrills my soul is the wonder that's only begun. Oh, the wonder of it all, the wonder of it all, just to think how much God really loves me. Oh, the wonder of it all, the wonder of it all, just to think how much God really loves you, just to think how much God really loves you.
Save a place for me, save a space for me in your heart.
Every year, the United Negro College Fund helps thousands of students go to college. But for everyone we help, there's one we can't, not without the funds.
Save a place for me.
Please support the United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Call 1-800-332-UNCF.
A message from the Ad Council.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope that you enjoyed my conversation with a quartet of individuals talking about the Big Gold and Blue Scholarship Gala that's going to be taking place at Oakwood University on this coming homecoming weekend, which is the specific date, April 6th. And we hope that as many of you as possible will come on out and try to be a part of that very, very important event. It's an inaugural event. Never been done before, and something that we want to make sure as many people as possible know about and hear about so that they can actually be a part of that process. Joining me at this time are a couple of individuals who are representing a very, very important sorority that, if you noticed around our community over the last few days, they have a big regional conference going on in our community. So there are literally thousands of AKAs in our community right now who are fellowshipping, networking, inspiring, leading, and doing so much more. Taking time away from their busy schedules today, Verlene, Texas joins us. Verlene is, among many things, involved in a very, very significant program that we're going to talk to you about on this afternoon. She has a long history as an educator, and she currently works with the State Department of Early Childhood. And we're going to talk to her all about not just her work in education, but in terms of the specific program that we're going to focus on this afternoon. Verlene, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Cynthia Massey also joins us this afternoon. She currently serves part-time as an intervention instructor in one of our local schools. She has a long history of working in the education field as well, and she currently serves as vice chair of the Sororities Empowering Our Families Initiative, which is a program that we're going to talk about this afternoon. Now, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated established the Childhood Hunger Initiative Power Pack program to increase awareness of the critical issues facing children when it comes to hunger and food insecurity. Two very important topics that I would hope all of us are mindful about. Now, this program provides weekend and holiday meals for children within local communities and is targeted to be Alpha Kappa Alpha's most ambitious childhood hunger program to date. Cynthia, talk to me a little bit about why this program was embraced by Alpha Kappa Alpha and what you all are hoping to accomplish by this being kind of a signature initiative for the sorority.
Good afternoon, Mr. Anderson, and thank you so much for having us. Having been in the school system from a personal level, having been in the school systems for over 30 years, I have seen students who've had to deal with food insecurities for a number of years. And that's one of the things that really excited me about being a part of this program. And according to the Children's Defense Fund, Leave No Child Behind, in 2019, more than 1 in 7 children, and that's 10.7 million, lived in food insecure households before the COVID-19 pandemic. This means they lived in households where not everyone had enough to eat. And we know that in order for children to be successful in school, they need access to healthy, adequate foods. And Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated has a strong history of supporting and serving families. Our organization understands a healthy family is the foundation of a healthy community. And our local chapter, Epsilon Gamma Omega, chapter of Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, takes great pride in serving the Huntsville-Madison County community through our international programs, local organizations, and partnerships. We have a rich legacy of service with over 70 years of service in our community. So therefore, Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and established the Childhood Hunger Initiative, our Power Pack CHIPP program, to help increase awareness of the crucial issues facing our children when it comes to hunger and food insecurity.
You know, I was very honored in some ways to have an opportunity to learn more about this initiative and certainly to highlight this on the broadcast when I talked with my good friend, Lateria Waters. And
Yes.
Lateria is just very excited about providing community information and opportunities to learn more about things, but especially because of this topic of food insecurity and how it impacts our young people. You're both educators. And I know that you have, over the course of time that you've been in the room, the decades that each of you have spent in that educational circle, you've seen the impact of kids coming to school who were distracted perhaps because they were hungry, who were misdiagnosed because they were hungry and misunderstood because they were hungry, who were perhaps marginalized or ostracized because they were hungry. And even though the behaviors that people were addressing were on the surface, behind the scenes, you had these very, very challenging things perhaps going on at home. This is not an imaginary issue. This is a real issue, isn't it, Cynthia?
Yeah, yes, very much so. And as I said, being in the classroom myself personally, I have dealt with students not having the food that they need. And so with this initiative, the majority of our members were very excited about participating in this program, implementing a program to this magnitude. And we're looking forward to serving the community.
Yeah, Verlene, I hope you can get in on this conversation here because I'm definitely interested in hearing your thoughts about this. One of the things that I have become very, very acquainted with in our very prosperous community is that I look around at all the great restaurants and all the great grocery stores and the opportunities that people have to really indulge in a very basic human right, which is eating. But yet a lot of families, because of the fact that they may live below the poverty level, because they may not they may be underemployed. So they're having to make decisions about, am I going to pay the rent? Am I going to pay for food? Am I going to pay for gas, et cetera, et cetera? The kind of work that you all are investing in is, to me, at the core of our humanity. This whole basic notion that I believe everyone has a right to eat. So it has to speak to you as a member of this great organization that is really all about community and serving. It has to speak to you in a very special and powerful way that you've adopted this as one of your signature initiatives. Talk to me a little bit about your thoughts about why this is important for you as a member of this organization.
Thank you, Kenny. As a member of this organization, as you all have talked about, there is certainly a food insecurity in our Huntsville-Madison community. I mean, I saw it firsthand as an educator in the classroom for many years, and to know that there are children that go home nightly and over those weekends that do not have food. So there's definitely a food insecurity within our community. And as a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, I'm ecstatic that we'll have the opportunity to hopefully eradicate that in our Huntsville-Madison community. If not eradicated, definitely be of assistance to our community.
Yeah, and one reason I'm really excited about learning about this initiative is because there are pockets of individuals, organizations, agencies that are addressing this issue, but it's never enough. It's like we need people in different arenas and different parts of our community addressing this, people of influence, people with means, people with resources, people who are connected to things to create greater awareness. Cynthia, what do you hope people will take away from even listening to this broadcast as they're learning about this initiative, being focused on eliminating and reducing the challenges to children and families regarding food insecurity? What do you hope that they take away from this?
Simply, Mr. Anderson, what I'm hoping that they will take away from this is better awareness that food insecurity exists within our own local communities for our families, for our children. And hunger is fixable. And we welcome any investment in the solution. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Epsilon Gamma Omega chapter wants to make a difference in the lives of children. And your partnership is vital and is welcome to this fixable solution.
Verlene, when Cynthia says what she's saying, I automatically start thinking about our faith communities and all of the opportunities that we have to live, for those that live in the Christian community especially, to live the gospel of Jesus Christ, which is love and serving the least of these and people who are in challenging and marginalized situations. But every religion has some element of helping other people and divesting of our selfishness in order to serve other people. So what kinds of specific things, if I was sitting in a room right now, you said, you know, I'm a part of this really, really meaningful and significant program, and I got all invested in what you had to say. I was really interested and fascinated by it. What can I do next? What can Kenny Anderson do as a person? What can I do next? What would you say to me?
Well, first thing I would say is to get in touch with our president of Epsilon Gamma Omega chapter right here in Huntsville, Alabama, and she will definitely tell you how your resources can be put to use. For the educators that are in the classroom, as an educator in the classroom, I know a lot of my personal funds went into trying to feed my children. You know, I witnessed them firsthand, hungry and wanting seconds in the cafeteria, or either coming to school tardy and the breakfast time had passed, but I would keep things in the room. So this CHIPP initiative, this child hunger initiative that Alpha Kappa Alpha and Epsilon Gamma Omega is pushing, I think it's going to really help the families here locally. I think the teachers are going to immediately see some relief, those that are so passionate and they're trying to do it all with their minimal resources. So with anyone that's ready to contribute to this this effort that we have that's ongoing, if you get in touch with our president, Tanya Woods of Epsilon Gamma Omega, she will certainly receive your resources and put you in touch with what we need to do to help partner with us in this initiative.
And what are the contact points? Are you talking phone, email? How do they reach Tanya?
She will take a phone call, 256-653-6728.
Okay, give us that one more time.
256-653-6728.
So can you all tell me what the program looks like? If do people register for this program? Do people just donate to the program and somebody else manages it? Does the Ego chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority coordinate the delivery of things? How does this actually work?
Well, it's a little bit of all of that, Kenny, honestly. The registration comes with individuals that want to help, then they will certainly reach out to the sorority initially, just to make sure that their impact, whether it be monetary or food items, we're taking it all. They would reach out to the sorority. As far as the children, we've identified some students in some Title I schools. And as we know, those are the children that make up at least 40% of the enrollment, according to the Department of Education, that receives free and reduced lunch. So those children are identified through the school administration and the school counselor. And then we take those names and we service those families, of course, with the consent of the parents. So it's pretty much a multitude of what you said. But monetary, actual food donations, any partnership and collaboration is welcome to help us assist in the effort of feeding our babies in our Huntsville-Madison community.
Yeah, so one local program I know provides backpacks for the weekend. Is this a similar kind of thing where kids are given food to take home at night or over the weekend, or?
This is very similar to the backpack program. The Child Hunger Initiative Power Packs is just like that, except we are not servicing the children that are receiving those services. We're looking to partner with Title I schools who are not receiving those services, the children that just missed out on that. So that's where Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and Epsilon Gamma Omega Chapter wants to fill in that gap. We want to stand in the gap of those babies that are not a part of the backpack program. So you're correct, Kenny. Those foods items do go home over the weekend and holiday weekends too. So we make sure that there is enough meals prepared so those children will not experience any food insecurity during those breaks from school.
And this is a national program, is that right?
Absolutely.
Yes. This is one of our international initiatives as well. Yes.
Yeah. So Red, nationally and internationally, you've got chapters in many places who are invested in this. I'm going to call it a relief effort, because oftentimes we identify relief only in third world nations and places that have had disasters, but there are literal disasters happening in our own communities. When you talk about food insecurity, and you know what really kind of causes me a little angst sometimes. I don't always express it because I'm just trying to be cool about it. A lot of times I don't want to really, go off on somebody, but it's like, I know what it's like when I'm hungry. I know what it's like.
You're not yourself when you're hungry, and those babies are not their best selves, as small as they are. And that's honestly why the teachers are experiencing so many challenging behaviors in the classroom, because how can you teach me if my stomach's growling? Exactly. I'm hungry. My immediate needs need to be met. So with the Child Hunger Initiative Power Packs and Epsilon Gamma Omega standing in the gap in any partnerships, hopefully we're going to alleviate that, and we're going to handle those first things first.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, adults, if I'm in a meeting and I'm hungry, I'm not really paying attention, or I'm in a particular logistical situation and I can't quite get to the food as a consequence of that. Maybe it's a program that goes really long, or maybe I'm traveling and there's nothing in between point A and point B. I know what that's like. And when we think about kids and the fact that so many kids are experiencing, again, what I call a fundamental right, which is a right to food.
A basic need.
Just a basic need. And food insecurity, even in a very prosperous city like Huntsville, Alabama. Again, if you just look at the surface of our city, you think everybody's got it going on. And that's not the case. There are people here with a need, and that's why we want people to pay attention to what we're saying this afternoon and reach out to partner in this process. It is the Sunday now that we're moving out of the big weekend that you all have had. You guys have been in town since Thursday. It's been a lot of activity and things going on, and these conferences, are, since I attend a lot of professional conferences and some related to organizations I'm in, these professional conferences are about networking and fellowship, but they really are all about connecting the dots in terms of how we make an impact in our communities. And when you bring together, several thousand members of a sorority, there's this great excitement and energy around fellowship again and networking, but you also get to learn a lot of things. You get to really leverage your energy in places that can be very positive and productive. So I know that this is significant for the city of Huntsville, and I know that it's significant for you all, too, as members of the sorority.
It absolutely is. I like to think of it as this is our opportunity to showcase to our Huntsville-Madison County community just the good and the community service that we do 365. We're always doing something to give back to the Huntsville-Madison community, but this opportunity is just an opportunity for us to give back and highlight one of our signature programs, the Child Hunger Initiative Power Packs, and just the impact it'll have. So we thank you for giving us this platform too to kind of get the word out and assist us with doing something good. And it's just an awesome time for all of us to get together and just really talk about a lot of critical issues that are happening within our own communities.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
go ahead,
And-
Cynthia.
Oh, and I was just going to interject the fact that yes, we've enjoyed painting the town pink and green.
Well, my wife is a soror, so I know exactly what that experience is like.
And in our conferences and our sessions, we do continue to learn more about what needs to be done, what is out there in the community, and it allows us the opportunity to be what we have always been about, and that is to be a service to all mankind.
Yeah, I just think it's wonderful what's happening, and I think that the fact that you have an opportunity to focus on something that is so critical and vital to the successful development of young people is so important. When we talk about this, and we often talk about this in the context of investing in children early rather than later, because later in life they may have taken a different path, and that path may be a pathway to destruction. It's the same thing in development. I mean, kids need to develop physically, and their minds need to develop physically, and that is a byproduct of what they're exposed to in terms of what they eat. It has health implications. It has social dynamic implications. It has all kinds of implications. And to know that this is happening is extremely important and extremely valuable. Once again, if people who are listening this afternoon, I hope that people are very energized and fired up about learning more about this, finding out how they can be supportive. How would they reach out to the president of the organization in order to get some more information?
Again, she will receive phone calls. She will take phone calls. Again, that number is 256-653-6728. And our president, Tanya S. Wood.
All right. Fantastic. Cynthia, Verlene, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. We appreciate all the great information that you had to share. We're going to take it to heart. We're going to make sure that we share this information with people who are listening this afternoon, and even beyond that by posting this on our Second Chance Facebook page so that people can continue to learn about this very important work.
Please do. And thank you so much for allowing us to share our program with the community today.
You're very welcome.
We appreciate your time. And I'm sure you've made a wonderful honeydew to your wife. This is going to get you some great brownie points.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too. Verlene, Texas, and Cynthia Massey sharing some really, really good information this afternoon about a program that you need to know about. It's called the Childhood Hunger Initiative Power Pack. It is a program to increase awareness of the critical issues facing children when it comes to hunger and food insecurity. It is a national/international program that has been adopted by the great Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, spending time in Huntsville, Alabama for the last few days. And we certainly appreciate their participation in the economy of our community as well. So good to talk to the ladies this afternoon. We're going to come back with one final guest today, and I'll introduce her in just a moment. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance, and I hope that you're having a fantastic day.
Savior, more than life to me, I am clinging close to thee. Let thy precious blood applied. Keep me ever, ever near thy side every day, every hour. Let me feel thy cleansing power. May thy tender love to me bind me closer, closer, Lord, to thee. Through this changing world below, lead me gently, gently as I go, trusting thee I cannot stray. I can never, never lose my way. Every day, every hour, let me feel thy cleansing power. May thy tender love to me bind me closer, closer, Lord, to thee. Let me love thee more and more, till this fleeting life is o'er, till my soul is lost in love, in a brighter, brighter world above. It's every day, every hour, just let me feel thy cleansing power. May thy tender love to me just bind me closer, closer, Lord, to
You know that the ice cream scoop has the power to make a child smile, and that by slowing us down, the traffic light can keep us going. You know that the golf tee brings friends together, that the mailbox keeps them connected. You know that the cataract laser helps you look to the future, while the pacemaker ensures that there's a future to be seen. You know that the lawnmower, the clothes dryer, and the elevator make life easier, that the blood bank makes life possible. You know that these things we count on every day started as ideas. But did you know all these ideas came from the minds of African Americans? Support minority education today so we don't miss out on the next big idea tomorrow. The United Negro College Fund, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Please visit uncf.org or call 1-800-332-UNCF. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope that you have been enjoying all of my conversations this afternoon. And I've had some pretty interesting ones today that have provided us with a lot of information. And of course, that's what this show is all about, providing information and inspiration and introducing you to some really cool people, both here, around the nation, and around the world. My next guest has been patiently waiting, and I appreciate her doing so, but it's so good to have her. Let me introduce her properly at this time. Quickly becoming one of reality TV's favorite moms, Vanessa Rodgers Tracy is a woman you don't want to miss. As a proud Brundage, Alabama native and mother of Melody Shari, she is part of a rising entertainment powerhouse that has taken the industry by storm. With the meteoric success of the Oprah Winfrey Network's hit reality show Love and Marriage Huntsville, Vanessa's proud to have yet another platform that allows her further push the things she is passionate about and the organization she supports. As both a former First Lady and radio host, Vanessa continues to blaze trails as an author, speaker, real estate professional, and TV personality. Vanessa's life is a reflection of what can happen when you use every God-given gift and encourage others to do the same. Her books are in libraries across the state of Alabama and available for purchase in a whole lot of places. Welcome to the broadcast for the very first time, Vanessa Rodgers Tracy. How are you doing this afternoon?
Hello, Mr. Anderson. I am so excited to be here with you.
I'm excited to have you here. You know, you reached out to me a while back. I think you had just published your last book. And so I'm always interested in talking to authors. Sometimes it takes me a little time to get around to it. But when we got this unique space that we carved out to be able to do this, I was very excited and very honored to have this opportunity to talk to you today. So thank you for being a part of the Second Chance radio show today.
Well, thank you so much for reaching out to me.
Well, listen, that introduction kind of says it all, and I'm going to start with the obvious. I would not bury the headline. You are a TV personality. You are in Love and Marriage Huntsville. That's the first place I met you, actually, watching the show, because I'm a big fan of the show. I'm a friend of your daughter, Melody, and yes. Just, you know, I follow the storyline and all of the ups and downs, ins and outs, and all of the other stuff. Talk to me a little bit about your general sense of what you feel about the show at this point and this stage in the journey.
Well, you know, like I said, they're making some changes for this new season that we are currently filming, you know, and I'm excited to know that they seem to be going down the road where they're bringing it back to focusing on the businesses and the positive things that the cast is doing in the community. So I think that's going to be a definite plus, because that was the idea that Melody and Martell had for the show to start with.
Yeah, that was the selling point, this idea about these professional African-Americans living in, at then, one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Alabama, and now, you know, the biggest city in Alabama, and also being recognized by U.S. News and World Report last year as the best place to live. So all of this opportunity, real estate development, and more, it just seemed like a really good idea to have the spotlight shine on those individuals. And I guess inevitably, listen, life happens. We know that everybody has backstories and challenges in life, and nobody has a smooth direction from point A to point B. From a reality show perspective, I would imagine that increases ratings sometimes when there's tension and things of that nature. But I think one of the things I've heard consistently is that thing that you're talking about really has never been lost in the journey, that every time we get a chance to see the show portrayed, we see the people, we can have a sense of pride in the fact that each of them has overcome certain challenges, have continued to push through adversity, have made modifications and adjustments in their lives. And I think that's a great message to be taught.
I totally agree with you. And, you know, I always say, as long as the business aspect outweighs the drama aspect of it, then I think the show is sort of doing what it was initially supposed to do, which is, you know, educate, bring awareness to, uplift. So, you know, we know with reality TV, there has to be a little bit of drama, but I definitely don't think that should ever outweigh you know, the business aspect of it, because all of these couples, you know, they are doing their own thing as far as their businesses and things go. You know, everyone's in their lane doing what they want to do or what God has for them to do.
Yeah, and I'm very good friends with Tiffany and Lou, in fact, and Tiffany's on my show from time to time for another segment. And, you know, I always say to Tiffany, you know, you guys are human beings. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, the cameras start rolling at some point. You got to deal with your emotions and all of these other things. You got family, you got children, you got all these, you got dreams, you got things that you got to deal with outside of the lens of that camera. And so sometimes on the other side of that, people don't see that. They don't embrace that. They don't respect that. But I get it. I mean, I'm like, hey, these people are people. I mean, life is complex. I get it. Well, listen, you do something that I'm very proud to talk about anytime I get a chance to talk about, and that's write. You are an author, a published author multiple times, and I want to talk a little bit about that because, and let me start with the first thing first. The journey to becoming an author. I'm always fascinated by that, how somebody moves from the concept of writing to actually publishing for the first time. Tell me what that journey was like for you.
It was something that I had not planned. Life just sort of happened. My first novel, Ushered Yet Abandoned, The Mask of a First Lady, it was birthed from a journal that I kept. And I was going through something very difficult in my life at the time, and I would jot things down in my journal and stuff like that. And then one day, you know, God told me, you have something to say. And so I took the pages of my journal and I started, you know, putting it together in a book. And I was just very blessed that my book was published by In Due Season Publishing. You might know Inger Taylor. She's there in Huntsville.
Yeah.
But she published my first book, and I was so thankful for that. But that also let me know that, okay, I'm on the right path. This is what God wants me to do with my testimony. So really, my first novel, it was just birthed out of life's mishaps and from my journal.
So, you know, of course, your book is on Amazon and a few other platforms and things of that nature. So there's a paragraph. I want to read with the read to the audience what the paragraph teaser is for the book so that people can possibly connect with it. It says, as the first lady of a growing ministry, Minister Viv was engulfed in a world in which she barely recognized herself. The man in the pulpit, her husband, was no longer the man she took home. Trying to keep it all together, she wore a mask in every aspect of her life. The more she prayed, the worse things seemed to get. At times, it seemed as if God himself had stopped listening. But one day, the spiritual breakthrough she desperately needed manifested itself. Minister Viv, I'm assuming is you?
Yes, I'm Minister Viv.
Okay. And yeah, this is interesting, I think, because, again, one might ask you the question, was your motivation to write birthed from an act of courage? Was it birthed from an act of, well, you know, I want to be as transparent as possible so I can help others along their journey, wherever they might be? In addition to the things that were happening, you know, things happen to everybody, but everybody doesn't write about it. I'm assuming, because you're a person of faith, that it was, in some sense, a divine calling from God to write the book and begin sharing this information. Do you feel the same way about that in terms of the motivation behind, the primary motivation behind writing?
Oh, God definitely had to lead me in that direction because, you know, I wrote the book as a fiction because you do want to be sensitive to the people that were involved. But I would say it was birthed from a place of healing. You know, my healing journey. I tell everyone the first draft that I did, it was a woman that was writing from a broken place where she was angry. The second draft that I did, it was birthed from a place where I was starting to heal. And then the final draft, which is what everyone is able to purchase today, that was written from a place of a woman who had healed and who had came out on the other side a better version of herself. So I would say it was part of my healing journey.
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating too as we talk that the subtitle of the book is The Mask of a First Lady. Now, there are all kind of masks out there, but I would imagine the mask of a first lady is a pretty unique kind of a mask that you would wear in terms of confronting people and circumstances and situations. Is that right?
Yeah, because my husband at the time, we had started a ministry, and the congregation that we had won all of those people off of the street. They weren't like recycled Christians where they had came from another church over to our place of worship. So, I would get up every Sunday morning and I would uplift my husband and talk about, how great he was. And in the beginning, all of that was true. But then there would be things that would start happening prior to the service starting. And then, you're hurt and you're broken and you still have to go out there in front of the people. And you still have to be the first lady that they expect to see. And you still have to uplift the service. And you still have to, encourage everyone else when you were in need of uplifting and you was in need of encouragement. So, I just started wearing a mask, pretending that I was okay and everything was good when it wasn't. And eventually I ended up losing too much of myself to the point where one day I looked in the mirror and I didn't know who I was. And that's when I knew I had to make a change.
Yeah. I believe firmly that forgiveness is part of the healing process. And I think forgiveness is a dual package. It's forgiveness of ourselves in many instances for things and choices that we've made, that we sometimes punish ourselves about. But I think also forgiveness for another person. As I say, forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. It's so that you can break the chain and break the tie that holds you emotionally to that person and the pain that is perpetuated from ongoing connections, however they might be generated. So would you share a little bit about forgiveness and your concept of forgiveness and what role this plays in your healing journey?
It's easy for me to forgive a person. I think some of that goes back to my relationship with God and my interpretation and understanding of the Word of God. Whenever I wrote my first novel, Ushered Yet Abandoned, The Mask of a First Lady, my ex-husband got the first copy of it because I wanted him to see it and read it prior to it being released, because I knew it was going to be a sensitive subject. And I knew that the people who were involved, when they read it, they were going to be able to pick out who the characters were. The funny thing is, neither one of us have any hard feelings toward each other. He's doing what he loves doing. I speak to him from time to time. Whenever we went our separate ways, there was no trying to really hurt each other or tarnish each other's image, after we decided to separate. But, I always think about the fact that, if God can forgive me for some of the things that he's displeased with me about, it's easy for me to forgive you. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to change our dynamic. We still might not be best buddies that hang out anymore. Yeah. But I can forgive you and move on and wish you well on whatever your journey is.
How did he respond to getting the book?
Oh, it was funny because after he read it, he called me and he said, it's a good book. And then he said, but this man in this book, there's nothing good about this man in this book. And I was like, well, that's not true. Because I do share in the book how he has a gift of winning people off the street that no one else can touch. He's always had that gift. And I think that was one of the things that drew me to him, because I have that same passion. But, he was like, well, this man in this book, he was like, well, I don't see it because this man in this book. And then, after a while he said, but I know you. And I know if you wrote it from a true place. And I know that you wrote it from a place not to hurt. And he actually, as far as I know, he was okay with it. He never said anything negative to me about it. He's seen me go on interviews and stuff and talk about the book. I've never gotten a call. Why did you say this? Why did you say that? So like you said, I think he knew me. He knows me. And he knows that, and he knows the power of a testimony, regardless of what side of it you're on. So I think he understood that it had to have been some kind of divine assignment for me to even putting it on paper was probably not a surprise to him, because he knew I always kept a journal. But to actually put it in a book and it get published and it's doing as well as it's doing, I think he knew, okay, this is bigger than her. This is bigger than me.
And you reached a point in the process of that specific journey where you say you felt God may not be listening. And there are lots of people out there listening right now who have either had that similar experience, they may be going through that right now. What would you have to say to them based on your experience to perhaps help them see beyond the fact that it does seem like God is not listening at times, and it doesn't make our situations any better as a consequence of that? Sometimes it makes people bitter, and sometimes it makes people better. So what would you have to say to people who may be in a situation right now where they feel like God is not listening?
Well, what I've learned is God can always rewrite your chapter at any time. We have this idea as to what we think our life should be, and we pray for this and we pray for that, and sometimes it seems like the more you pray, the worse things get. But what I came into the realization is that God can rewrite your chapter at any time, and where you're at now is not necessarily where you're going to be 2-3 months down the road. I think we have to learn, if we say God is the head of our life, we really have to trust him with that. And if he rewrites your chapter, your destiny is going to be the same. You're going to get to where he wants you to get to, but because of maybe decisions that you made, people that you connected yourself to that couldn't go with you where God was taking you, he may have to rewrite some things. And it's okay if he rewrites some things, because if he does it, then you're going to be victorious on the other side.
Yeah, that's good stuff. You've written some other books as well. Tell me about some of the other books you've written.
Well, I started writing, the series is called Chronicles of a Grandma Mother. It's a series for children. And I started writing those books to share moments that I've had with my grandbabies, teachable moments that they can remember, after the Lord takes me home. And so we released volume 1, which was a trip to Grandma Mother's house last year. They call me Grandma Mother. and so we released that last year. It did really, really well. Well, no, we released that one in 2021. In 2022, we released volume 2, which is Grandma Mother's Banana Tree. And I have a banana tree that I grow in my backyard. And my grandbabies were so ecstatic when they came down and they actually saw bananas on the tree. So in that book, we go through the process of picking the bananas. And then my oldest granddaughter, Mariah, she loves to bake and cook. And we share her banana recipe in volume 2, where she makes a banana pudding and we all help make that. And then, of course, we all help eat it.
It's the best part of it, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, that's awesome. And I mentioned in the introduction that your books are in libraries all throughout the state of Alabama. That's got to be very meaningful to you. I'm a big proponent of reading. The library in my community, I've talked many times on this show about growing up in public housing. We couldn't do a lot of traveling and vacations and stuff like that. But by going to that library, I was able to meet people and go places and explore things about life that I think have made me the person I am today. And so to have your book placed in libraries has to be a point of great pride for you. Talk about that for a moment, if you will.
Oh gosh, it is truly an honor. And I tell everyone, I truly thank God for the doors that he's opening for me. We're in the library in Montgomery, we're in the library in Brundage, we're in the library there in Huntsville, and I'll actually be doing a meet and greet at the library in Huntsville downtown on April 1st.
Oh,
so I'm really, really excited about that. We're also working with some of my books have been shipped to schools out of the state. They're using them in their daycare classes and their pre-K classes. And the first volume, A Trip to Grandma Mother's House, it actually shipped to Nigeria. Yeah, so the children over there, they're enjoying those, the teachable moments in that volume.
How did that happen?
I had done a magazine cover, and someone noticed me in the magazine. She was really impressed with what I was doing. Wow. And we hooked up, and she happened to have been an owner of a Black-owned magazine as well.
Wow.
And, she told me about this initiative that she always does, outside of the U.S. And she asked me if I would be interested in shipping some of my books to Nigeria for some of the kids over there. And of course, that was great. I was definitely down for that. And so, even Usher Yet Abandoned, my first novel, it shipped outside of the U.S. I think being on Love and Marriage Huntsville, it gave me a bigger platform to push the things that I have passionate about. And it's almost like it happened overnight, and I have to give props to the show for that. Yeah. If it had not been for me being on Love and Marriage Huntsville, it might have taken me years to reach the people that I'm reaching now. Yeah. So that's one thing that I do like about the show. If you use the platform in the right way, you can definitely push those things that you are passionate about.
Yeah. Well, listen, we feel your passion today, and we are inspired by it. And we are very honored to have had this opportunity to speak to you today. People may want to connect with you. You have a social media presence. You have a website. You have places that people can find you. Where would that be?
My website is vanessartracy.com. And they can go to my website, purchase any of my books, any of my merchandise. If they want to request me to participate in a speaking engagement or something like that, there's a box where they can leave that request and my team will get back to them. On Instagram, I'm VRT 2019. And on Facebook, I'm VanessaRodgersTracy.com. And on LinkedIn, I'm VanessaRodgersTracy.com. You are everywhere. You sound like me. But you know what? I don't want to add any more social media platforms because LinkedIn, I very seldom log onto there because, when you're busy and you actually have, because I'm also a real estate broker. Yeah. And I'm also in Timberland Data Management. So those things keep me pretty busy. And I'm not comfortable turning my social media over to someone else yet. Yeah. I still have to be hands-on. But I do have something really, really great that's getting ready to be released on social media that's going to shine the spotlight on some unsung heroes in small communities who are in the trenches making a difference every day. And they don't have the platform that I have to get that recognition. But I wanted to be able to use my platform, this public platform that I've been given, to shine the light on some people who are really in the trenches every day, and they're making a big difference in their towns and their cities. And a lot of people don't even know who those people are. Well, hey, look, give us an opportunity to support you with that. When you get everything lined up and you roll it out and you're ready to come back on the show, just let me know. We'll make that happen for you. I'm really excited about that. I love shining the spotlight on other people. I always feel like if you lift up others, your gifts will make room for you. Yeah. Absolutely. There's no question about that. Vanessa Rodgers Tracy, thank you so much for being with us today. We look forward to having additional dialogue with you in the future.
and we wish you continued success.
Well, thank you so much. And the very first time I met you, I was with Melody Martell and the kids, and we was at the park downtown.
Oh.
And they told me who you were. They spoke so very highly of you. And so I was like, okay, Mr. Kenny Anderson, I feel like I made it.
No, I remember that. I absolutely remember that. Wow. That is awesome. Well, listen, we'll be crossing paths again sometime in the near future, in addition to this special experience that we've had today.
Thank you so, so much.
All right. Have a good rest of the day.
You too.
All right. What a great way to end our broadcast today, folks. A great conversation with Vanessa Rodgers Tracy. If you don't know what she's doing, now you know. And she's doing some amazing things in the spaces that I absolutely value and appreciate. We're going to come back in just a moment and wrap the broadcast, tell you what's happening next week. I'm Kenny Anderson. Chance.
You have comment that you would like to share, or perhaps you'd like to be a guest on the broadcast. We'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to email Kenny Anderson at mxlife@aol.com, or you can like us on the Second Chance Facebook page. That's 2ND Chance. And now, back to more of Second Chance with Kenny Anderson.
Once again, I want to thank you for being part of our conversation on this afternoon. I want to thank my guest today, Jacqui Shipe, Chief Executive Officer of Global Ties of Alabama. Also, Dr. Les Pollard, the President and Chief Executive Officer of Oakwood University. Sabrina DeSouza, Vice President for Business Development, Finance, and University Advancement, and a Certified Public Accountant at Oakwood University. And Mirriam Battles, Director of Major Gifts and Planned Giving, and a Certified Development Director. We appreciate them coming on, talking about the big gold and blue gala. We cannot wait for that to happen, and we look forward to it coming to this city very, very soon. Today, Representatives Verlene, Texas, and Cynthia Massey of Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, EGO chapter right here in Huntsville, sharing information about Childhood Hunger Initiative Power Pack CHIPP program. And very good information about attacking food insecurity. And then finally, Vanessa Rodgers Tracy, author, and so much more. We're grateful for the opportunity that you've given us today, and we hope that you have a good rest of the week. On next Sunday, it's What's Going On, my social and political roundtable discussion, featuring a combination of, I used to always say the fellows, but, now that Dr. Kessler's been with us, we got to say, some combination of folk that are going to be on the show. We'll look forward to that happening real soon in the future. Also, our sister Karen Stanley out there, we will work towards getting her back in this space as well. In the meantime, enjoy your day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to Second Chance. We hope that the information that was shared has been a blessing to you and that your life will be enriched as a result of it. We'd love to hear from you. So, please send your email comments to Kenneth Anderson at mxlife@aol.com. That's mxlife